The infant's weight hit my arms before I understood what was happening. One moment I stood in the ceremonial hall documenting the Valoran Trade Summit for Earth's diplomatic archives. The next a female alien pressed her child against my chest, her three-fingered hands trembling as they released their burden. Her eyes, large, golden, desperate, locked onto mine. She wore the deep violet robes of Valoran nobility, now torn at the shoulder, a thin line of blue blood trailing down her arm. "Please," she whispered in flawless English, her voice cracking. "They cannot have her." Before I could respond, she turned and ran. Not toward the exit. Toward the Queen's dais. The child stirred against my uniform jacket. Warm. Impossibly light. Her skin shimmered with an iridescent quality that shifted between silver and pale blue. 4 tiny fingers curled around the fabric near my collar. She didn't cry. That should have been my first warning. The Valoran Queen rose from her throne with the fluid grace of a predator deciding whether to chase or consume. 7 feet tall, crowned with what looked like living crystal that pulsed with inner light, she embodied everything the intelligence briefings had warned me about. Power. Precision. Zero tolerance for deviation from protocol. Her gaze swept the chamber, past the frozen dignitaries, past the human ambassador clutching his data tablet like a shield, past the Valoran guards who now moved with synchronized intent toward the fleeing mother, and landed directly on me. Time crystallized. In that fraction of a second, I saw her pupils contract. Saw the microscopic shift in her posture as she processed the situation. Saw her mandibles part slightly in what I'd learned was the Valoran expression for recognition of something catastrophically unexpected. Then she spoke. One word. Not shouted. Not hurried. Delivered with the absolute certainty of someone who knew the weight of her commands. "Run!" the mother screamed. Not in fear, in defiance. She'd reached the dais, her hands raised toward the Queen in some gesture I didn't recognize. The guards reached her 3 seconds later. The sound her body made hitting the polished floor would haunt my dreams for months. But I was already moving. My legs carried me toward the servants' corridor before my conscious mind caught up. Behind me, chaos erupted. Shouts in 3 languages. The distinctive whine of Valoran energy weapons powering up. Ambassador Morrison's voice cutting through the noise. "Stand down! That's a human citizen!" I didn't look back. The child's fingers tightened against my jacket, her body impossibly still considering the violence that had just erupted. No crying. No struggling. Just those large eyes, not golden like her mother's, but deep violet like royalty, staring up at me with unnerving focus. The corridor branched. Left led to the human quarters, protocol, safety. Right led deeper into the Valoran palace, toward areas marked, restricted, in the briefing materials. The Queen had said run? Not stop or surrender the child. Run. I went right. The palace transformed as I moved deeper. The ceremonial grandeur gave way to narrower passages, walls that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns I couldn't read. My boots echoed on floors that seemed to absorb sound, creating a disorienting silence that made it impossible to tell if I was being followed. The child shifted. Her mouth opened, revealing a pattern of delicate ridges instead of teeth. She made a sound, not quite a coo, more like a harmonic frequency that resonated in my chest cavity. The walls responded. The bioluminescent patterns changed, flowing in new directions. "You've got to be kidding me," I muttered. She did it again. The patterns accelerated. Somewhere ahead, I heard the distinct mechanical sound of a door unsealing. The mother had said, "They cannot have her." Not them. Not the Queen. They. I rounded a corner and nearly collided with a Valoran guard. Young, judging by the lighter coloration of his exoskeleton. He held his weapon but didn't raise it. His eyes fixed on the child in my arms. "The 7th door," he said quickly. "It will take you to the lower gardens. From there." He stopped, mandibles clicking nervously. "I did not see you. Why are you helping me?" "Because the Queen commanded you to run." She does not make mistakes. He stepped aside. Go. Now. They will override my position in 40 seconds. I ran. Found the seventh door already open, revealing a descending ramp that curved into darkness. Behind me, voices raised in harsh Valoran syllables. The young guard's voice among them, playing confused, buying seconds. The child hummed again. The ramp lit up, strips of light awakening along the walls in response to her voice. And I understood. Not everything. Not nearly enough. But the essential truth that would define everything coming next. This wasn't a kidnapping. This was a rescue. And the Queen, the most powerful being on this planet, had just made me complicit in treason against her own government. The ramp spiraled downward. The sounds of pursuit faded. The child's humming continued, each note seeming to resonate with frequencies I could feel more than hear. At the bottom, the gardens waited. Not gardens in any earth sense, vast biochambers where things that might have been plants, or might have been something else entirely grew in geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. And beyond them, visible through transparent panels, the city stretched out under 3 moons. I had no plan. No extraction point. No idea who they were or why a queen would betray her own people to save one child. But I kept running. The gardens provided cover. Twisted growths that towered 30 feet high, their surfaces reflecting light in ways that created natural camouflage. I moved between them, the child still silent in my arms, her violet eyes tracking movements I couldn't see. A sound stopped me. Not pursuit. Music. Specifically, a pattern of tones that matched what the child had been humming. Coming from deeper in the gardens. Trap or salvation. 50-50 odds. The child hummed in response. The same pattern but inverted. The music ahead stopped, then resumed with a new sequence. She answered again. A conversation. She was having a conversation. I followed the sound and found her. Not the mother, someone else. Older, judging by the deep blue of her skin, the way her crystalline growths had developed across her shoulders and arms. She wore no robes, no marks of rank. Just functional clothing stained with soil and what might have been chemical burns. You're human, she said, her accent thicker than the mother's. That explains the desperation. The Queen gambled you would value innocence over politics. What's happening? No time for full truth. Condensed version. The child is genetically incompatible with current royal succession. Her existence proves things certain factions would kill to suppress. Her mother tried to hide her. Failed. Queen intervened, but cannot directly oppose the council without triggering civil war. You were, a variable outside our political calculations. So I'm carrying evidence. You are carrying revolution wrapped in flesh that does not yet understand what it represents. She pulled a small device from her pocket, pressed it into my free hand. This will mask her biosignature for 6 hours. Enough time to reach the human embassy if you are fast and lucky. The mother is dead. Knew she would be. Sacrifice herself to create chaos, to give you minutes of confusion. The older Valoran's mandibles clicked and what I'd learned was grief. She was my daughter. The child is my granddaughter. Keep her alive long enough for truth to matter more than tradition. Voices erupted from the ramp behind us. Not far. Getting closer. The grandmother turned toward the sound. I will buy you time. Go toward the western panel. It leads to water systems. From there, you can reach the surface 2 kilometers from the embassy. When they question you, and they will, remember, the Queen commanded you. That matters. That saves your life and possibly prevents war. Come with us. I am too old to run and too angry to hide. Go. I went. Behind me, I heard her voice raised in challenge, buying seconds with her life. The child hummed, not the conversational pattern from before, but something that sounded like mourning. The western panel revealed maintenance tunnels, narrow passages designed for automated systems, not people. I squeezed through, the child pressed against my chest, her warmth the only comfort in cold darkness. The device the grandmother gave me pulsed against my palm. 5 hours 50 minutes remaining. 6 kilometers to safety. At least 2 groups of royal guards searching the palace. Unknown number of they who wanted the child for reasons I barely understood. The child's humming stopped. Her small hand touched my face. Those violet eyes, royal eyes, stared up at me with an intelligence that seemed far too developed for an infant. We're going to make it, I told her, not sure if I believed it. Your mother, your grandmother, they didn't sacrifice themselves for nothing. She didn't respond. But her fingers curled tighter around my collar, and I felt her tiny heart beating against my chest. Behind us, in the gardens, something exploded. The shockwave rattled the tunnel walls. They weren't buying time anymore. They were eliminating witnesses. I ran faster, the child's weight somehow both burden and purpose, racing through darkness toward uncertain safety, carrying the evidence that could either unite or destroy an entire civilization. The tunnel sloped upward. Air grew humid. The sound of running water echoed from somewhere ahead. 5 hours 47 minutes on the device. The child's biosignature hidden, but my human heat signature blazing like a beacon to any thermal scanner. I had to move faster. Had to think smarter. Had to survive long enough to make 3 deaths mean something. The water system opened into a vast chamber where processing plants cleaned and recycled the city's supply. Catwalks stretched across pools that glowed with bioluminescent filtration organisms. I could see exits, 3 of them, each leading in different directions. A figure stepped from behind a processing unit. Not Valoran. Human. Male, mid-40s, wearing civilian clothes but moving with military precision. He raised his hands slowly, showing empty palms. Lieutenant Chin, he said, using my rank. I'm here to help. Who are you? Someone who's been waiting for this child to be born for 3 years. Someone who helped her mother plan this moment. Someone who knows exactly which exit leads to the embassy and which 2 lead to ambush points the council established 20 minutes ago. He nodded toward the device in my hand. And someone who has a better version of that, one that lasts 12 hours and masked human signatures too. The child hummed. Not the morning sound. Something cautious but not afraid. Why should I trust you? Because, he said quietly, the Queen sent me. She couldn't run with you. Couldn't directly protect you. But she could ensure someone was in position to help. I'm her last piece on the board. After this, she's committed to whatever comes next. Behind us, the tunnel echoed with voices. The pursuers had found our trail. Decision point. Trust or run alone. Odds or certainty. The child's life or my paranoia. The child hummed again. The same pattern she'd used with her grandmother. I walked toward him. Which exit? Center. Follow me. Stay close. And, Lieutenant? He glanced at the child. Whatever happens next, remember, you didn't choose this. You were chosen. That distinction might save your life when they put you in front of the tribunal. We ran toward the center exit, toward whatever waited beyond, carrying revolution toward an uncertain dawn. 4/4.